Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Long Beach Community College District Board of Trustees for November 12th, 2013. If everyone could please stand. And Trustee Clark, if you could please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please place your hand over your heart and repeat with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Clark. Madam Secretary, if you could please call the roll of the Board of Trustees.
President Kellogg, Vice President Clark, Member Bowen, Member Otto,
Here.
Member Uranga, here. Student Trustee Donato.
Here.
Thank you very much. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes for October 22nd, 2013. Are there any corrections, additions to the minutes from that meeting? Hearing none, there is a motion by Trustee Clark, second by Trustee Uranga. There's no corrections or additions. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That item carries. Next item of business is for a public hearing, which there is none. Move on to the introductions. Is there any introductions that need to be taken, special announcements, presentations at this time?
I have one, Board President Kellogg.
Oakley?
I'm very pleased to introduce a very special guest in the audience. She is the mother of our student trustee, Andrea. I want to introduce Marta Gomez. Bienvenido, Long Beach City College. Thank you for being here. You did a wonderful job.
Ha de estar muy orgullosa de su hija hoy. Ojalá.
Very good. Welcome. Ordering of the agenda. Members of the board, I have a few items, one of which I'm going to move to the front after the public comments, or I'm sorry, this is going to be moved to immediately 12.8, 12.9, and 12.10. That is the ordering of the agenda. Are there any other items at this time? I know we'll have a consent calendar item that you wish to have pulled, but is there any other items at this time? Hearing none, that will be the order. First order of business, item 12.8. President Oakley?
Yes, for item 12.8, I will turn it over to Vice President Gable.
Anne Marie?
Thank you, President Oakley. In your board packet, we have our 2013-2014 first quarter budget performance report as of September 30th, 2013. So I'll just give you a brief overview of what is presented within the quarterly report that the Budget Advisory Committee has seen and approved. So on the first page there, the presentation is as it typically is, where we show the adopted budget for 13-14, the current budget, which means any changes that have been made since the adopted budget time, the actual both revenues and expenditures that were expended or received as of September 30th, and then we do a projection on where we think we're going to end the year as of June 30th, 2014, with two variance columns, and the variance represents the difference between the current budget and the projected year-end numbers, both in dollar amount and as a percentage. So you see there on the first page, we aren't projecting any changes between the current budget and the projected year-end. Right now, right in the center is where we have the state apportionment. But just as a reference, when we built the adopted budget assuming that we would be funded at a FTES level of 19,858, and that includes 299 in restoration FTES. And so we have built in growth or access or restoration, whatever term you want to use today, for those funds. And we've also built in a 1% deficit factor, as is typical, although this past year the deficit factor was much greater. So to date, We haven't heard any change from the state on whether or not that deficit factor is going to hold. We'll have a better idea in January if that's going to change or increase due to either the redevelopment funds not coming in, property taxes, or enrollment fees. So moving to the second page, looking at the total local revenue, you see that we are projecting $18,947 more than what is in our current budget, and that is due to a renewal of a cell tower lease agreement that we have. And so we have cell towers on our campuses, and we get monthly lease revenue from that. So there at the bottom of page 2, the total revenue and other financing sources. The only change that we're projecting right now, again, is the $18,947 from the total local revenue that I just discussed. Moving on to page 3, this is where our expenditures start. And as is normal, we break our expenditures down between major classifications. So that first grouping of expenditures are our academic salaries. Overall, you see that we're projecting to spend $61,000 more than what's in our current budget. That's primarily related to increase in course offerings that we have for both late start fall courses as well as some of our winter intersession courses. This does not include extension courses in these numbers since that is kept completely separate. The classified salaries there, the total classified salaries, you see that we're projecting a savings of $128,000. That is primarily due to vacancies that have occurred in both the classified and management positions that are budgeted but have not been filled as of yet. And then your total benefits, we're projecting a savings of $124,756. Since we have a savings in our classified salaries, there's a savings in benefits because our benefits are a function of both of our salaries. Moving to page 4, this is where we start the expenditures for supplies and materials and contract services and operating expenses. At this point in time, we're assuming that all of the divisions and departments are going to spend everything in their budget, so we're not projecting any differences right now. Moving to page 5. Again, there at the top is our capital outlay expenditures. We're not projecting any changes right now because, as I said, with our supplies and services, we assume that the divisions and departments are going to spend the money that's in their budgets at this point in time. So total expenditures, we are currently projecting that we're going to spend $191,696 less than what we have in our current budget at this point in time. And then our operating surplus or deficit there towards the bottom of the page, you see that our current budget was just under $1.5 million surplus, $1,491,804 to be exact. We are now projecting that to be $1,702,444 for a change of about $210,000. So with that, I will open it up to any questions that the board may have.
Questions from the board, if any? Seeing none, and I apologize, but you have to stay around for the consent calendar. I was trying to help you to make your next event, but you can't leave just yet. So that's why I moved this item forward to accommodate. If there are no questions at this time, item 12.8 is informational. So 12.9, this is the section required by the California Community College districts to report quarterly on their financial conditions. That is what 12.9 reflects.
Move to approve.
Motion by Trustee Aranga, second by Trustee Clark. There's no other questions or comments. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. The next item is the resolution on this same item. I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Motion by Trustee Aranga, second by Trustee Clark to approve the resolution on the same item. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That item carries. At this point in time, we will now go back to our agenda item as we normally work, and that is a public comment period on agenda items. As members of the public may comment on items listed on the agenda at the time the item is discussed prior to the board action. 5-minute limit will be allocated to each speaker with a maximum of 20 minutes for each subject. I have one speaker, Jessica Bracco, report on student life. And you do have 5 minutes, and at 4 minutes, you'll see me try to wave to you. That just means you have 1 minute if you get to that point. Your name for the record, please.
My name is Jessica Bracco. Good evening. I am here to talk about the role of the student trustee office. So Andrea Donato was elected by the student body to sit as a student trustee. In that, I understand that she is meant to represent the student body on the board and to be the official voice of the student body. And I personally feel that Andrea has done a wonderful job in this position. She is a role model for students, male and female, but I would highlight female because it's really special to me to see such a strong feminine voice on a student sitting up on this board and representing the other students at the college. And I am so happy to see that strong voice sitting out there representing me, but I'm a little upset and maybe kind of feel a little bit like the student vote has been disrespected by the decision to bring in the president of the ASB or any other student really to make an address on student life, because sitting in these public meetings as a student and hearing that decision made or told to ASB without a vote makes me feel like you're taking the students out of that decision-making process. And it almost says to me as a student, your representative isn't doing her job. We've made the decision for someone else to do it better. And I don't think that that she has misrepresented students, that she has not fulfilled her role, and if not speaking about every single thing that's going on in student life is something that is grounds for someone else to take up your responsibility, is really what's happening here, then why not just address it with her and ask her, can you bring up more issues in your report? Or I would hate to think that as students making a decision on our vote when we cast a ballot for the ASB representatives, that, you know, our vote doesn't mean anything, because we voted for Andrea to stand for all of us. And I think that, you know, we made the right decision, and I would hope that it's upheld. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no other speakers on agenda items. We go to the consent calendar. It has been requested by the student trustee to remove from the consent calendar for discussion item 6.1-4. Are there any other items from the consent calendar that needs to be removed and discussed at this time? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar.
So moved.
There's a motion by Trustee Otto,
Second.
second by Trustee Ranga. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The consent calendar is approved with the exception of 6.1-4. Student trustee.
Yes, thank you. And the reason for which I put this item out of the consent agenda is just because I would like some more information on what is California Corporate College Training Program.
I believe that would be Vice President Gable, please.
Yes, the California Corporate College Trainings Program is something that is ran by the Community Advancement and Economic Development area, and they do trainings with local businesses that the local businesses then pay us fees for the training. And so this is establishing both that revenue and expenditure within our Community Education Fund 59.
All right, thank you.
All right. Could we entertain a motion to approve item 6.1? 4 then, please.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Otto, second by trustee Clark to approve that item. No other questions. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That item carries. That concludes our consent calendar. We're now on to Human Resources, item 5.3. This is the appointment to the Personnel Commission by the AFT. On there, it's just for the record, the name that was submitted to us needed to be corrected on the spelling. Do I have to read that into the record, what the correct spelling is? It is spelled, Jackie is spelled, Jackie, I love your writing. Jacq, is that your UIE?
Yes.
All right. That was the correction on the name. And,
No, and to remove Lang, it's
to remove-
Jackie Wilvers.
okay. So for the record again, her name has been changed to what? Not changed. It correctly is identifying her as,
Jackie Wilvers.
okay. And again, this is the appointment, replacing a longtime member of the Personnel Commission, Darwin Thorpe. This is an appointment, again, that is always submitted to the board for approval. So if there's any questions or comments on this with the correction in the spelling, if there are none, I'll entertain a motion to approve that appointment to the Personnel Commission. Motion by trustee Aronga, second by trustee Clark. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Next item, 5.4.
Yes, Board President Kellogg, Long Beach City College, like every other college in the nation, is having to adjust to meet the new requirements of the Affordable Care Act. It does have implications for our college employees, so I've asked Vice President Delgadio to bring a report outlining what those changes are, and we also, as she will explain, need to take some action to begin what's called the monitoring timeline for our employees to meet the requirements of the Affordable Care Act. So with that, I will turn it over to Vice President Delgadio.
Thank you, President Oakley. Before taking action on item 5.4, tonight we have Burnham Benefits here, who's going to give us a presentation on the implications to Long Beach City College in regards to the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. So I'd like to take this moment to introduce 3 representatives from Burnham Benefits, who is our benefit consultant. First off, we have Chris Allison, who is the president and owner of Burnham Benefits. Secondly, we have Richard Asensio, who's Vice President, Director of Compliance at Burnham Benefits. And next to him, we have Glenn Morris, who is our underwriting manager. So Richard, with that, I'm going to have you come on up to the podium and give us your presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the Affordable Care Act, more from the perspective of Long Beach City College and the district and what the district has done with respect to the Affordable Care Act and complying with it, as well as to discuss a few provisions that are going to be impacting the college in the year ahead, the next few years, that might give you just a good idea of what to go over. The key provisions that I'm going to talk about are the player pay provisions, tracking variable hour of employees, certain fees and taxes that'll become effective this coming year, as well as the CATLAC. In between that, embedded in these, I will go over certain assessments of what we've done on the college and how that applies to it. With that, I'd like to go to the next slide. The main ACA, one of the broad objectives, of course, is to decrease the uninsured population in the United States. it is one of the biggest, and we figured that it's going to be doing on the mandating employers to provide adequate coverage is one big aspect of this is where Long Beach College is in. The other aspect of it is that individuals are also able to provide must have coverage or pay a penalty. Another way to induce people to purchase coverage. Expanding Medicaid, a big factor here. I was at a meeting today, and they said right now the number of enrollees in Medicaid projected for 2014 is increasing. It's going to increase significantly. And in California, it's called Medi-Cal. One other aspect, covered California. We've heard of the marketplaces. We've heard of healthcare.gov. These are changes that have been created to bolster purchasing opportunities, promote competition. What the government has done is provided subsidies for lower income individuals to be able to make coverage more affordable. That will be reduced, and if they qualify for a subsidy, the coverage premiums will be significantly reduced. Secondly, another big objective is to institute market reform. These include eliminating pre-existing condition exclusions, improving preventive care benefits. It is the hope with these reforms that in the long term, it's going to drive down the cost of health care. Just to give you a perspective of ACA, and it's a real complicated law. They're not just one provision. It's been effective. Provisions have become effective since its inception in 2010. It's constantly evolving. It's changing from regulations are coming out almost on a weekly basis to implement certain provisions, and it has changed. So what I'm going to tell you today, 3 months from now, a month from now, may not be the case. So we're always revisiting. But just to give you an idea, what we have in 2014 and 15, which is what I'm going to concentrate on today, are the fact that we have an individual mandate that becomes effective. There's an individual mandate that becomes effective January 1. You mentioned the Medicaid expansion. It also takes effect on the first of the year. State exchanges become effective on January 1. We have a maximum 90-day waiting period effect on the federal level. In California, it's 60 days. The college here has one date of hire, so there's no issue here with them. We're already in compliance. We also have a couple of other points to point out. Pre-existing condition exclusions for everybody go away come January 1. The college already has taken measures to remove that, and their plans are already, there are no plans here at the college that do have pre-existing condition exclusions. Going down there, the big ticket items here for 2014 are fees. We have a transitional reinsurance fee that becomes effective. I'm going to speak to that in a little bit. We also have the health insurer fee, which are applied to your plans as well. That it's a fee that's assessed on the carrier. They are going to pass down the fee to the employee. And just to step back in 2013, for the college, it becomes effective really for this year. The first payment will be 2014. Is that we have what they call a comparative effectiveness fee, which is to fund a nonprofit research organization on there. And I'll talk a little bit about that as well. Coming to 1/115, and this is really the crust of this is you may have heard of the the employer mandate to provide coverage. This got delayed. It was initially scheduled to be effective for 1/114. Got pushed back to earlier in the summer to 1/115 on there. And we're going to be spending considerable time talking about that today. We also have reporter requirements that come effect in 2016, and then the Cadillac. Going here, who is responsible for what? Just to know that employers are not the only party in this. It's really, I guess, the pain, the efforts are shared by various different parties. The federal government, the state government, individuals have a role. Healthcare providers, of course, have a big role, and of course, employers do. And we're focusing on the employer side. I'm going to begin talking a little bit about the employer mandate and why it applies to the college. Employer mandate, only large employers are subject to this. But regulation, ACA defines large employers as employers that employ an average of at least 15 full-time employees. So you're talking about any organization that has 50 full-time or even 25 full-time, but many part-time could conceivably fall into this category. What exactly is the player pay mandate? How does it work? How are penalties assessed? There are two potential penalties that can get triggered. They're both triggered when somebody goes to the exchange. One of your employees goes to the exchange, they qualify for a subsidy, purchase coverage in the exchange, penalty can get triggered. We have a $2,000 penalty that could be assessed on all your full-time employees versus a $3,000 penalty, which is assessed only on those employees who actually go to the exchange and qualify for a subsidy. So clearly the $2,000 penalty could be the most egregious penalty involved here. That is triggered if you do not offer minimum essential coverage. That is coverage offered. All employer plans, for the most part, meet the minimum essential coverage. The key to it is that you have to be offering it to 95% of your full-time employees. We'll talk a little bit about what we're doing to ensure that the college meets that requirement. So having offered that coverage to minimum essential coverage, you have still go through the effect here now. Does the plan, there are two tests to determine whether the $3,000 penalty could apply. Does the plan provide minimum value? We're going to explain that. We've done an assessment of the college's plan. And is the coverage affordable? And affordability, we're going to discuss as well. It's generally less than or equal, the cost of coverage is less than equal to 9.5% of that employee's income. And we're going to look into that and show you how the college assesses that level. Again, if you meet all those parameters, you're offering affordable coverage, offers with minimum value, you will not get assessed. That is our goal here. We performed a minimum value test on the college's plans right now, as they stand. And minimum value means that the benefits that you're on, the cost of your benefits that are provided through the insurance has to be at least 60% total. Versus, and so the most out of pocket is like 40%. The college passes the minimum value test for all its plans. An equivalency from what you can get in the exchange, it is at the platinum level plans, it's the highest level. We find that we have from anywhere from 90% to 92%. So, thanks. The affordability test, that's much better. What it is I mentioned the cost of coverage must be at least, has to be less than 9.5% of the employee's income. It's based on the cost of employee-only coverage. And the employer is only required to have one plan option that is actually affordable. Again, the college meets these testing requirements. Your least expensive plan, the Kaiser HMO for employee-only coverage, is only $258.77, which equates to annual income of $2,700. And going on an hourly rate at $1.31 if the person works 40 hours a week, $75.30.